The question can be asked, did Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster have any clue of the timeless icon they were creating when they first started writing and penning the story of a farm boy from Kansas with a magnificent obsession with blue tights and a red cape? Even back in 1938, it was obvious that an artist created for the passion and not necessarily the success. Sure, having your iconic role model of a character appear on practically everything a logo or likeness will fit on must be an amazing dream to realize, but who's to say if that dream included flip-flops, snow globes, and crock pots? I like to believe that the little orphan alien from Krypton was destined to be released in action figure form, and thankfully, we've been given that gift repeatedly for decades, and there seems to be no kryptonite to the production of countless more. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects. Remember, I'll be posting a new video at least once a week, if not more. If that sounds of interest to you, please click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Beast Kingdom Dynamic 8ction Heroes 8-inch or 1/9 scale Superman. All right, hey everyone, and welcome back. There it is, our Superman Beast Kingdom Dynamic 8-action. I don't know how to pronounce it because the A in action is replaced with an 8. That always confused me. It's like 7, right? The movie said 7 and because the V was a 7, but we'll get rid of that. So the back, let's start with looking at this package. I'm very excited to have this. This is the first one of these from this company that I have gotten in. It's Superman. Right? I'm a huge Superman fan, if I haven't made that very obvious yet. Absolutely. Just always thrilled to get a new creation, especially something that looks as neat as this, right? So on the back here, a little bit of a shopping list of everything that's coming in it, a little bit of pictures of it, some renders of what we're supposed to get. Somebody did not skip leg day is what it looks like. Just a little bit of extra details. I like that we've got this this fun little foil thing here on the back, just the, I suppose, the anti-counterfeit business that we've got. Label. We're missing that. Who knows what that label was supposed to be. We're missing information there. But yeah, so there's the back. On the side, just general stuff, right? There's that dynamic 8-ction. You know what? If anybody dares to try and write out the pronunciation of that, please bring it on. Put it in the comments. I would love to learn exactly how you would pronounce it. Let's do some phonetics there, right? So the sides, both of the sides are the same. We've got that drawn on kind of texture to look like it is Superman's costume. And then the front, I mean, how much more soups can you get right there, right? So it's the chest showing the emblem. We've got that classic Superman logo. And yeah, you know what? Enough about the package. Let's pop in. One thing that I noticed when this came is this tape on this side just made its way loose. I couldn't even get a peek. I admit I did try to at least peek in there, but then I felt like I'd be cheating, so I gave up. I did not put too much effort. Let's cut that one so we can get in and look at this together. I want to do it at the same time. I want you all to be on these journeys together. I like the box. You know, it takes that little bit of time to drop, right? That's just that little bit of anticipation. Okay, let's get oh, look at that. Let's get the lid out of there. You know what this kind of reminds me of? The Superman Red and Blue, right? Those the comic series. Yeah, that's what that kind of. I mean, obviously because it's the red, blue, and a lot of white on there, but very cool looking art form. Looking straight at you, staring deep into your soul. And this seems like just a little card that's going to pull out. So I like that. Nothing on the back, but still kind of cool, right? You could do something like with that. Post it up somewhere. Very cool. I like when there's extra details like that. That little lift out flap. And there's our guy. Right. Okay, so let's get the tray out of there. See if we got anything underneath in the box. Yep, looks like we got some instructions. All right. Maybe no instruction on how to pronounce that. There's a box. We'll move this out of the way. We'll set the instructions to the side. I may end up regretting that. Here in the back, we've got this. Looks like part of the stand. Various pieces associated with that. I do like the Superman with the Superman logo on it. So good to see something like that. Don't eat, right? No matter what, no matter how tempting it is. It always looks so delicious, but don't eat it, right? Oh man, look at these kryptonite chains. I'm very excited about these things coming out of this package already. Flip it back over, pull this off, get that out of the way. We've got Soups. Let's pull him out and out of the way as usual so we can look at all these accessories, right? There's his deft ninja hand for when he's doing some blocks or some chops. Very, very, like a darker tone to it. I like that. I like what they've got going with the skin tone here. So 4 extra set of hands on top of the one that's in there. A total of 5 different hand set choices. We've got this fantastic face here. Let's get these kryptonite chains out of the plastic, and we'll dig through all of these accessories together. Get that stuff out of the way. We'll put the stand to the side for now. All right, so first and foremost, let's check out these chains, right? So kryptonite chains, what an unfortunate situation to put old Clark Kent / Superman in. So very cool. Looks like they've got like a little brake feature going on, you know, as if he's just busting out of them, because he always finds a way. Yeah, these things can kill him, and yeah, they wear him down, but he always finds a way to muster the strength and bust through and get through this stuff, and always prevailing, right? So that's one of those things. Superman, he's such a hero, such a great role model, and always that ability to say, hey, never give up, right? Oh yeah, did I just pull all that from some plastic green chains? I did. But you know what? That's the fun of it. That's the adventure of comic books and all these heroes, is you can make so much of it, and all of these creators and writers are doing exactly that. Okay, so first set of hands, the like I said, the deft hand. It really does look like he's doing a sort of a block with that one, but also obviously it's a flying hand. I mean, let's be honest. It would be great to have little ninja poses, right? Superman using some kung fu, maybe some karate. We also have the thumb out flying, right? Or you know, just trying to maybe a wayfinder, right? Maybe he watched Moana a few times and learned how to navigate from the stars. I mean, he came from the stars. Why not know how to navigate from them, right? We've got a slightly almost grippish, but open hand. Just kind of, we'll say this is kind of like a neutral hand, right? The thumb just kind of hanging, fingers just hanging, not really trying to accomplish anything. I tell you, I'm loving that skin tone. Okay, moving on to this last set of extra hands. This is a very grippy, angry looking hand. He's just, this is a very mad Clark Kent / Superman, ready to fight, ready to grab something and just go. All right, now I am excited to take a look at this face. Look at this thing. Speaking of angry, look at that. Look at the expression with his mouth. Yeah, I appreciate the detail going into there, right? Hopefully you can see it. I mean, they've got the tongue nice and colored. I will say that the inside of the mouth still has a flesh tone aside from the tongue painted pink. It would have been nice to at least see it maybe darkened, right? Or if it's not going to be, they're going to find a reddish for an inner mouth, at least just maybe a darker color other than just the normal flesh tone. But again, when you look that close, and that's the thing to have an issue with, I think things are in pretty good shape, right? So around the eyes, I mean, look at that. Look at how the red detail is just looking like he is ready to burn a absolute hole through something. Those angry red laser eyes. We've got the heat emanating off, made out of some molded plastic. Fantastic. The hair sculpt looking good. Just the straight black that it is, right? So, I mean, fine with Clark. He usually has just flat, straight black hair, right? He's kind of a jet black hair kind of dude. But you know what? Again, as I always say, if you're going to take the time to have these details in there, find some kind of way, whether it's a slightly different shade of black or something, or, you know, a blue or a gray, to bring those details out. If you're putting in all that work, let us see it. Be proud of it, right? Find a way to make sure that it's seen. And I did see on this, at least on the back of the box, let me grab this real quick. The eyes have a light up function. Let's fix that. There we go. They have a light up function, so I am very much looking forward to that. Okay, now we've looked at all the accessories. Let's bring old Superman in. See, boom, there he is. Right, just dropping in. Very interestingly contorted from being in the package. Okay, so let's get that focus on him just to really see. So I mean, stuff just kind of got moved around, but as to be expected, especially when they're packaged like that, they're not really suspended in place. So, cloth goods going on. Dare I repeat how much of a sucker I am for cloth goods on a character? You know, and it's always good to see. Is it Is it absolutely perfect? No, I mean it's difficult to do, but let's look at it. Let's break this guy down. Okay, so first and foremost, here is yet another head for him. So we've got two head options for Superman, and I think it's a pretty good design, right? It's nice and clean. They didn't go too over the top with like the hero chin or the crazy jawline, but still, it's very Superman looking, right? Sometimes they go a little bit excessive. Obviously, I think sometimes with the features of the face just to make him look more super. I don't know. We got the curly Q hanging down, same basic hair and all that stuff, same opportunity to highlight some of the detail and everything. Not really a whole lot of like blush or anything to kind of add more life to it. You know what? I'm kind of getting a Christian Bale vibe a little bit, at least in person. I don't know if the camera's really picking it up, but there's just like a little bit in there. I don't know if anybody else is seeing that. It definitely shows in person. Okay. So head mobility, let's take a look at it. Let's start working on this flexibility of this guy. So neck definitely fixed to the torso, which we see pretty often. It has fair side to side, good up and down. It does seem very separated from the neck. You see that? It kind of does like a bell thing on the sides of the head. It does have a very separated, very obvious, just the way that it comes down here on the sides and kind of swings out. No big deal, but it's just something that I noticed that's kind of makes it stand out and look more action figure-y and less detailed. But ready for it? Oh yeah, we got it. We got it. Full on Exorcist there, and you know what? That's everything is forgiven, right? No, but yeah, okay. So let's look at the rest of it. You can see a butterfly joint peeking through there, and one thing that's kind of obvious, like look, the costume, cloth goods. I appreciate it because we want that elasticity, want that stretch. But if we pull the arm back, can you see? It's starting to show through. You can actually see the flesh tone, not just the shape, but you can see the flesh tone because it just a little bit of stretch, right? So mobility of the arm does cause the cloth goods to stretch a little bit where you can see through it. So just a thing to be mindful of. There's also a bit of a click that happens. I'm never too thrilled when I hear that. It doesn't seem like it's causing a problem. It almost seems like it just clicks into a place because it does stay. Feels a little loose. So when it does that click, it makes me a little bit more comfortable because it's going to stay in that position. The shoulder does have the ability to rotate, obviously go up and down. We have a rotate or swivel on the upper bicep tricep area. The elbow is a double elbow, as you can see. So we've got dual flex going on there, right? Perfect. No forearm swivel, but obviously the wrists have the ability to swivel because they're going to pop out, but they also have full-on wiggle ability. Look at that. It's not just an up and down or this and this. Full-on wiggle ability. Same for both sides, right? We have that click over here, which helps indicate that it's intentional, right? Because sometimes when that happens, it might be something that's wrong with that specific joint. But for me, when it happens on identical ways in both sides, I'm a little bit more relieved and say, okay, that click is obviously most likely identical, or it was an absolute flaw in design all across the board. But same flexibility, same thing with the wrist. Both sides have that full wiggle capability. If you wiggle it too much, you can kind of see the joint very well, which makes it separate. And much like the bell activity here, it does kind of take away from the realism, if I'm honest. Loving the costume, loving the shield, right, emblazoned on here. It is raised from it, so it's not like screen printed on. Happy to see that, right? Because it could have easily just been screen printed on and saved some money, but here we have an actual separate flexible rubbery plastic type piece that is glued to it, to that huge chest. Look at it sticking out right there, right? Okay. He's a massive dude. I'm going to give it to him. They went the larger, more buff Superman, almost awkwardly buff, because it just bear with me for a moment here, and let's look at how this works out, right? So the shoulders have the ability to drop down, and if we do that, it definitely gives it an odd shape, right? If it's down here, it highlights it even more. But I don't know if you can see. So like the general flow, right? The shoulder goes here. And then we have the trapezius muscle is huge. Can you see that? Let me change the focus a little bit. You can kind of see it under the cape. The trapezius muscle just takes off above that, and that's fine. I mean, Superman's doing his shrugs. He's probably shrugging full trains, freight trains or something. But That is it is a huge jump muscle wise. So he's definitely a muscle bound version of Superman, not the lean version you can see sometimes. But yeah, so I digress. Moving on down, we've got, oh look, accidentally realized that the belt does pop open, right? So it's got a little bit of a clasp there. How easily does it clasp back together? That is a very good question. And I'm not going to invest a whole lot of time on that one because I don't want to take up too much of yours. There we go. Yeah, just a little bit of pressure. It went back in. Now this is an area where it is, I'm not a costume maker, but I would say this is probably a very difficult piece to craft out of fabric in a small scale. And that being said, I think they've done a great job, right? So we've got the belt loops. Sure, we have like some threads kind of sticking out. I think that's kind of unavoidable, right? Just the way that it has to be sewn on, with there not being a lot of room. I like that they are there and that the belt goes through it, and then it's not yet again something screen printed or even glued to it. You know, it could have been glued. These could have been rubbery plastic. They could have cheated, but instead the whole thing is fabric. So that little extra bit of detail, I'm going to say thank you for that. This seam goes inward, even though at first glance, I admit, it looked like it was just that piece of fabric. Okay, so obviously the belt comes loose very easily. So that is, there's something to keep in mind there. But it does kind of fold inward, so I was glad to see that. Just that little bit of extra detail. You can kind of see the seam back here. But yeah, I think they did a great job, especially considering everything. Legs don't do the drop down, but they do swing out very well. Almost a full super split. I don't want to push them too far because we've got the fabric stretching on the seam right there. But yeah, good flexibility on that. I'll definitely give it that. No thigh rotation. We do have a double knee going on there. You can see by the roundness of it. So good for flexibility. Oh, look. Toe articulation. Now, the leg, it does not have a calf swivel, but the boot top is separate. So it does rotate and almost seems like there's a calf swivel, especially if it takes the foot along with it. But it's just a separate piece. So if the foot was pulled down, this would come right off, which is probably helpful if you need to take the costume off. But speaking of the foot, we've got good up and down. We've got good rotation and good wiggle on that. And as we gave away before, boom, the toe articulation. So with these boot tops, I'm going to say posing is something, that is a part that you want to keep an eye on, right? Because as you can see, even if I pull them down, blue still shows underneath. So you got to be careful with that one. That is, again, another thing that I'm going to point out that says it kind of takes away and reminds us, I'll say, that it's an action figure. Obviously, it's an action figure. But sometimes you can have realism in something and you can almost forget that it's an action figure. No matter what, they are pieces of art. But sometimes some of them just speak to you and they just seem like there's even more of a level of artistry behind it. This, something I could never create, nor am I going to pretend that I could. But let's move on. All right, so let's check out the back. Obviously, we got the zipper, and you can see the seam on there because, zipper takes a good bit, especially with a tiny zipper like that. I'm not going to take my chances and play with that zipper because there's no reason for me to take it off and risk getting some teeth crossed or something messed up. But general costume around the back, Superman doesn't have a lot going on back there, right? And he doesn't worry about it because he's got a cape. All he needs is a nice golden S also attached on there. You know what? That one is painted on. It is, I'm assuming, maybe screen printed or something, but it is definitely painted on, and you can kind of see on the edge how some of the red still kind of breaks through, and some of the lines of the fabric have kind of changed the way that the curve of that S goes. Can I get that clear enough? There we go. Yeah, see? So a little bit there, no big deal. It's okay. Not too mad about it. There were other things that I had more issue with. One thing that I am thrilled about, we've got a little bit of wire in there, right? So we've got that capability of creating the billowy cape, right? So we have some posability. Now, I got a feeling, and this probably still isn't going to stop some of those other developers out there who make some amazing capes, let me just say, and I love seeing those, and I love picking some up. But let me get that focus sorted out for you. One day I'll be a little bit better about focus. So yeah, you can have just a quick billowy cape to really have that super look to them. So let's see how easy. Oh, look at that. He stands very easily. Granted, his ankle's a little messed up. We'll see what happens if I straighten it out. Am I going to make it more difficult for him to stand? Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, all in all, not a difficult task to make him stand. And as I mentioned, just quick things to point out, right? You can still kind of see some blue peeking out under here. All in all, looking at it, it's a cool Superman. I'm not upset. I think it was a great investment. Just the things that I had pointed out are obvious opportunities. The musculature looks a little bulgy and awkward and not natural. Like, I get it. He's an alien. He's a comic book / cartoon character turned into an action figure. But the musculature just doesn't look real, right? He still is a human. He still looks human, but just the way that some of the build goes, it looks very, very artificial. And then you've got that separation right there. But again, I am not upset about it. I think it's great. And let's see if we can figure out. Let's look at we're going to draw this out a little bit longer. And I think this one, I think it kind of deserves it, right? So let's see if we can decipher from this how we make, maybe that's our light up thing right there. Light up function. Okay. Interchangeable face, light up function, battery use, LR41x4. I wonder if does it come with the batteries? Let's find out. Now I've got to do it. I've got to mess with the zipper. The thing I was afraid of doing. Boom. There's our panel. Does it come right off? See, I need to get some batteries. I've failed us all here. Okay, so there's an opportunity. Don't forget that this does need batteries, and what it says, if you do pick one up, is LR41 times 4. That way you'll be ready for some light up eyes. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Battery not included. That's unfortunate. But you know what? That's okay. And we will be right back with some good 360 views of this Superman. Okay, here's our guy Superman. Some 360 views, a few different poses, the dynamic 8-action one. A lot of opportunities that I saw with this one, especially considering the price to what I would say the overall value of it. The bell thing that goes on with the head, the way that the neck joins to it, they kind of built some of the neck into the head instead of relying on the separate pieces, and the cranium kind of making the shape. The wrists do pop off easily and do not go back on very easily, and sometimes you have to kind of wiggle it on, and in doing that, the shoulder popped loose on me, and even the upper torso joint popped loose, which I was surprised about. The belt was a consistent issue, opportunity, we'll say, of it popping open and closing it, not always the easiest. It does take a good bit of pressure on there. The clasp, not very reliable. The upper boot area where you can see the blue through it. Just a few things that I wouldn't expect to be issues considering the price. The musculature also not very realistic, very almost lumpy, and I want to say cartoony, but even a lot of times cartoons, the musculature even looks more realistic, even when it is disproportionate. But you know, I'm going to leave it up to you. I'm not mad or upset that I invested in it. I would be hesitant to recommend it based on some of those opportunities that I missed. If you're a big Superman fan, pick it up. I know you'll enjoy it. But if you were on the fence, you make your decision. I would have probably teetered off the fence, honestly, and invested it into another Superman offering that's out there. All right? Thanks. Well, that about does it. Thank you for checking us out and for joining on this collecting journey. Look for new videos each week, if not more, and be sure to subscribe and click that like button. It would really help us out, and it would mean a lot to me. If you'd like to see some more videos, there are a couple of quick links on your screen right now for you to check out. No matter what, thanks for taking the time, and we are all in this world of collecting together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.